Imposter syndrome is weird. It on one hand, it's really healthy, like it keeps the ego in check, and on the other hand, it can completely ruin your ability to become as great as you can be in what you do. I'm gonna have to say imposter syndrome a lot in this video, and it's gonna be rough. Recently, I shot my first wedding. I actually did video for my first wedding, and I know how to shoot video. I know how weddings work. I know the process. I knew the person I was shooting for, but I still felt really uncomfortable. I've worked on professional sets. I have been a part of, bigger shoots, and I understand the art of image making. But still, I went into that wedding feeling super nervous. Not only because weddings are high pressure, I mean, stuff only happens once, and that's scary, but also because I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. Like I had pulled the wool over someone's eyes, and they're all of a sudden letting me do this really cool thing at this big, beautiful venue for, a ton of money. And I was like, why am I here right now? It took quite a while for that imposter syndrome feeling to go away during the day. And, thankfully the lead photographer and second photographer were amazing, and they were so good about just letting me do what I was doing and reassuring me and checking in. It was literally the best option I could have for like a first video day at a wedding possible. But that doesn't mean I was able to transcend that feeling. And that's what I want to talk about today is imposter syndrome and how we can work with that as photographers and videographers in a creative space. So how do we get over imposter syndrome? Well, unfortunately, we don't. We kind of just feel it less and less over time until the point where we're able to say like, you know what? Yeah, like I might not feel 100% solid in what I'm doing here, but I know I deserve to be at this table. I know I deserve to be making these images, and maybe I'm not the best in the world at it, but I deserve to be here. I do have a few tips though on imposter syndrome and how we can work with it and manage it so that we can feel a little bit better and we can move through that process just a little more quickly. So if imposter syndrome is hitting you hard on set, try these things out and see if they're going to work for you. First things first, be honest and be humble. It's okay to not be the best person on set. It's okay to be new. It's okay to not know 100% what you're doing all the time. Everyone feels that way. Everyone started somewhere, and people will understand where you're coming from if you are honest about it and if you're real about it. Remember that you were chosen to be there for a reason. I mean, unless you lied about your, your portfolio or your experience or whatever, and you got on there through ill intentions, like you're meant to be there because people chose to be. And if you did lie to get there, don't do that because that's shitty. But just remember, it's okay to not have all the answers and to ask for help and to give people a really accurate representation of what you can and can't do, because ultimately that's going to serve them better. It's going to serve you better, and everyone's going to feel better about that. Tip number 2 is be the most helpful person in the room. I've talked about this a bunch of times in my videos, but I can't stress it enough. If you go into a place and you think to yourself, how can I be helpful? Not just for you, but for everyone there. If you can say to yourself, like, how can I help what's happening right now be better? So whether that's grabbing a light stand before anybody else can get to it because you're closest and you know that that's going to be needed, whether that is checking in to see if the client needs a glass of water or something. Like if you're there on set to help, then be helpful. Even if you're the lead photographer or videographer, you can still be of service to people, and that will not diminish your role and where you're at. Like if you're like, well, I'm up here, so I don't do that because that will make me look bad. No, it won't. It'll make you look like a human being who wants to care for people and wants to be kind. But make sure you're doing it from a place where you generally want to help. If you don't want to help, you shouldn't be on set, first of all. But if you don't want to help and people can sense that, then like they're going to be like, what is this person doing? Are they just trying to use me or whatever? Like, make sure your heart's in it. Tip number 3, be prepared. Do your research, know what you're shooting, understand what you're going into the best you can. If you've never shot, let's take the wedding, for example. If you've never shot a wedding before and you've never been to a wedding, do your research, watch some videos, read some articles, try and figure out exactly what you need in order to do the best you can. You will not have everything you need. You will not be as ready as you want to be, but you will be closer. So have your gear ready, show up 15 minutes early so that the second you're supposed to be starting, you are good to go. You're not fiddling with gear and equipment. You're not like finishing up your breakfast before a shoot or something. Like be fully ready and make sure you're there to like make it happen. The thing is, if you show up late or your gear's not ready, or you're not prepared, then you are an imposter. And that actually brings me to the final thing here, which is the most important tip, I would say, which is you are an imposter. I mean, not all the times, but sometimes you are an imposter. Sometimes you get booked for something that doesn't make any sense. Like, you've been honest, you've shown your portfolio, you've given them the clues that you don't know exactly what you're doing, and you just get this weird, awesome chance. You get to do this thing that you feel like you have no business doing. And to be fair, you probably haven't, I don't want to say you haven't earned it, but like it's come to you just out of a bit of luck. And that's awesome. Use it. Yeah, maybe you're a bit of an imposter, so to speak, but like, you have this chance and do what you can with it. And you know what? You might fail. You might be put in that position where you have this opportunity to do this great thing and you don't execute. And that's okay too. Like, remember that failure is okay, and that's how you learn and grow. And that if you are that sort of like imposter in that moment where you're getting this chance to do this crazy thing that ultimately you don't execute on as perfectly as you would have hoped, that is going to inform you in your next shoot, so that the next time you actually are less of an imposter. So don't get scared about being an imposter. It's okay, but just don't put yourself in a position where you didn't do the work you could have done to be ready for that, right? So for those of us that feel this imposter syndrome, that's okay. That's healthy. That's natural. If you've never felt it before, I don't know where you get that kind of confidence, but it probably is not healthy. The thing is, it happens to everyone at any point in your career, and it'll keep happening throughout your career. And if you are feeling a bit of imposter syndrome, that probably means you're like right on the edge of your comfort zone and on the edge of your abilities. And that's where you're going to grow. That's like super, super vital and cool. So if you're feeling like an imposter, fucking run with it and feel good about it and help yourself grow so that next time you feel a little bit less like an imposter. That's all I have to say today. I hope you're doing great. Thank you so much for watching along. I know this is a more like philosophical, weird one, but I hope this helps somebody out there. And yeah, that's it. Be good to yourself, be good to others. All that stuff that makes the world go round and be a little bit easier to be in. Okay, go out and have fun. Bye. Peace.